Hi, I'm Jeff Greenspan. I'm a freelance creative director, freelance copywriter, based out of New York City, but I work wherever I'm needed. My journey towards having the creative career that I have right now actually started as being an account guy in the advertising industry. I didn't even know back then that there were two sides of the business, a business side, an account side, and a creative side. I just wanted to get into the building of an ad agency, and I figured I'd figure it out from there. And I quickly figured out that I was really not cut out to be an account person, but it wasn't until I actually got held up at gunpoint when I was living in Astoria, Queens, which is actually a very safe area. It was just a fluke. But by getting held up at gunpoint, I was really forced to really think about what do I want to do with my life. I mean, I was very young, but I was really struck by how short life can be. And I knew that I wanted to really commit myself to having my income and my come from being creative, because where you derive your income from is generally where you invest most of your time. Today I gave a lecture on be your own brand, be your own buzz. And I felt that a lot of people would be showing up to that talk expecting some words of wisdom about how to go viral or how to become buzzworthy or become a brand that was in demand as far as being a freelancer or a creative. And I didn't want to do a talk like that. And what I wound up giving a talk about instead was really examining what it means to be a brand. And to me, being a brand or having buzz around you is about the style in which you contact the world. And I feel a lot of creative people contact the world in a style of being a victim because they feel they need to get a brief or a project from a client before they can move forward with an idea. Or if their ideas are subverted or not bought by the client, then they don't have some creative success. And I found the way out of moving out of victimhood as a creative person for me and moving out of the brand of being put upon or frustrated or angry was to do work that was self-directed and self-motivated and self-controlled. Not only did I develop a body of work that brought new collaborators, new opportunities into my life, but it made me feel different about myself. I found that instead of making excuses, I could be making things. And people respond a lot better to things than excuses. So I became a happier person. I became a person with a circle of collaborators and opportunities that I never would have had access to if I had stayed waiting for things to happen or waiting for projects to be offered to me. And a lot of these projects have really helped my career. So a lot of people ask, how do you have time to do one if you're doing the other? But I think it's useful to consider them as two sides of the same coin. If you are at an agency, a design firm, or if you're in the business of being a creative thinker or solving problems creatively for brands, great exercise for that is solving those problems for your own brand. And I'm not suggesting do self-promotion, although some of these projects they can feel like self-promotion because they're on my website and they get me to do talks like this, which is wonderful. But that isn't the goal behind the projects. But the goal behind the projects is to connect with people. And whether it be connecting with people so that they can get a message that I feel is important, or a message I think is just funny, or disruptive in a way that gets them to think about something differently, that's my way. But someone else might want to do a project to connect with someone over a very different reason. I found for myself that when you don't really pursue trying to get attention, but you pursue an intention instead, you might wind up getting attention. And it's okay if you don't get a million hits. In my talk, I talked about how it's been just important for me to bring 5 people into my life rather than 5 million. Because some of those 5 people that I met through doing projects that were not well loved and not well received became collaborators on projects that were. The world's most exclusive website is a project I did with a few creative people, Chris Baker, Michael Lacker, and Doug Lafredo helped with design work on that site. It explored ideas of fame and what it means to be followed in a culture where when you're very famous with lots of followers, are you also very alone? So it was a website that you needed to be, to get access into, you had to have a verified Twitter account. Right away, a verified Twitter account denotes a certain level of well-knownness, well-known of fame. Because you have to be someone that is either impersonable or someone from the press. But to become a verified Twitter member, you have to be, it's kind of considered a somewhat of a level of fame. But once you got into the site, if you were able to get access in the first place, you found more and more deeper and deeper rooms that required more and more followers to get in. And ultimately, fewer and fewer and fewer people were in those rooms, where ultimately there's only one person in that room, the person with the most Twitter followers ever. So it was a fun journey to see if you can get in yourself. There were some fun things that happened if you couldn't get in. There were fun things that will happen if the most famous person, or the person with the most followers ever goes to the site. So it was a real interesting play on what it means to compare fame as we know it being backstage at a concert to being backstage at the internet. Being creative is seeing what could be and not what is. And if we settled for only what is, there wouldn't be a camera, because we wouldn't have made it. So yes, I think for us to continue to survive, it's key to being human, is being creative. Well, you know, I try to be curious and alert wherever I go, so everything is a form of inspiration. Tina Roth, Swiss Miss, quoted James Murphy from LCD Sound System by saying the best way to complain is to make something. And I really do like to complain. I've spent many, many years, especially when I was back in that victim mode, of pointing blame all around the world except at me. And that was actually a very useful training because it helped me be really hyper aware of what I don't like, of which there are many things. But when I find something I don't like, I very quickly start to kind of make fun of it. That's my process. Maybe write jokes about it or riff on it with friends in a funny way. And then I think, well, how can some of those jokes or some of that humor or some of that way of framing that issue be packaged? And the package then becomes the project. When I used to do stand-up or improv, some of those points of view would come through in a stage show. But Now my way of trying to share these ideas is with projects, some of them on the internet, some of them on the street, some of them in ways I haven't figured out yet.